Hi, it's Mindy with Astrology by Love, here to bring you an awesome series on the moon. So we are going to go ahead, jump right in and get started. I wanted to mention a few things first. So the moon in astrology is our emotional body. It shows how we process, how we feel, contain, express, and perceive emotions. If you are born at night, then the moon expresses more frequently. So, and sometimes, a lot of times, is more important than the sun. A good celebrity example of this is Tony Robbins. So, Tony was born at night. He is a Pisces sun, which is sensitive, intuitive, feeling, and we do see that energy in Tony, but he expresses as more of an alpha male. Being born at night, he was also born when the moon was in the sign of Aries. So that is a lot of times where his alpha male energy comes from, his dynamic, go-getter, accomplishment attitude. So that's an example of a celebrity born at night. And if you two are born at night, your moon may express more than your sun, and that would be normal. The moon is also influenced by the house it is in. And the moon represents our mothers or mother figures in our life, as well as the women that we are attracted to and that we attract in. So in a man's life, the moon represents the type of woman that, once again, he is attracted to and who also embodies the energy that his moon carries. So sometimes, and a lot of times in a man's life, that moon energy comes through in the women in his life. We are also going to talk about the stars and what degrees of particular signs these stars are in, and how they affect the moon when the moon is in line with these stars. Know that when a planet or point is culminating or coming closer to a star, that energy is building. Once it passes by, it's kind of built. There's like a pressure release. It quickly lessens and then fades away. Also know that angles from other planets affect your moon as well. So as a general rule of thumb, a sextile or trine brings a planet's energy into the influence of the moon by a pleasant way. It's complementary, it works together. If the planet is in a square or opposition, then it brings that planet's energy into the moon in a frustrating and challenging way. So in the conjunction with a planet with the moon just depends on the planet. So different astrologers have different opinions on the moon's orb of influence. Some astrologers, like William Lilly, say that the moon has an influence on a planet up until 12 degrees. And I've heard other astrologers say as little as 7 degrees. Some ancient astrologers did not use degrees when making charts, and has sort of given us the impression that the entire sign to another entire sign is included in those energies. The stars influence the moon so that the nature of the moon is not lost. It just adds an extra layer of energy, a different energy. As with all energy, sometimes one is stronger than the other, but the original moon energy in that sign is still accessible on some level. Also note, not all of these star placements are fantastic. So, instead of massaging the edges of the truth, I do have to say some negative things about a few positions. Please don't shoot the messenger. There seems to be a balance of some sort in the universe. So some of these places are thought of as beneficial and others are not. Also notice some of these stars don't necessarily completely change the moon. They just amplify certain characteristics. So it may not be as much as a different thing as much, but more a characteristic is just intensified. One other point to consider is that a star has been known to influence the opposite point. So if your moon is behaving differently than the sign and there is not a star at that particular point, check the opposite zodiac and see if there is a star at that point. I don't cover that in these videos. I'm trying to make these not be super long, but I also want them to be informative. So if a star isn't there, check the other side. And for these videos, just as references, I have used Claudius Ptolemy's Tetrabiblios. I have used Vivian Robson's The Fixed Stars and Constellations in Astrology book, and also the websites astrologyking.com and constellationofwords.com. Doing research and going through all this, something I did notice was that Vivian Robson always had the most negative interpretations of the stars. And I thought, what's going on there? So I looked up his chart, and his moon is 2 degrees away from Saturn. It also has a mild square to Mars, which can readily cause a negative outlook on things. And just so you know, this astrologer that you're listening to right now, her moon is in Capricorn, which is also ruled by Saturn. So I'm going to try to keep this light and upbeat, but I do want this to be truthful and honest and also provide insight for you as well. And one last thing, please note that I have read about all of these stars multiple times. I have not necessarily had conversations with astrological scholars about each and every one of them. At the moment, I type out my readings in order to give myself time to best describe what is going on in the best possible way. So I have read and typed all of these names at one point or another. I have not necessarily spoken about them. I am not fluent in Arabic or Latin or even Chaldean. So I'm going to pronounce these names the best that I can. If I mess one up or mispronounce it, which will probably happen, and you know how to properly pronounce it, please let me know down below in the comments. I would love to learn the proper pronunciations of these names. Once again, thank you for watching, and we'll get started. One more thing. I have put the names of the stars down below in the description box next to the degree it is at, and have the time that it appears in the video right next to it. Enjoy! The Gemini Moon. The Gemini Moon needs constant stimulation in order to feel alive. Does not necessarily consider stimulation to be bad or good, but all is equally appreciated. Not prone to feeling as much as analyzing the theory of emotion. The moon in Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Needs constant conversation in a relationship. Communication is as necessary to their emotional well-being as oxygen is for the body. It is hard for them to decide to be in a relationship because the mind is constantly playing devil's advocate and changing its perspective. Struggles to just sit and feel, and as a result is not naturally good at processing feelings. Does not feel things deeply and is an expert at rationalizing away any feelings that bring about discomfort. Whether these would be positive or negative emotions would depend on the situation at hand. The first star we come to, right at 0 degrees, 0 minutes, is Alcyone. This is actually the central star of the Pleiades, and I talked about the Pleiades in the Taurus video. You can check that out. The brightest star of the Pleiades, Alcyone brings about sorrow when the moon is placed here. Trouble with lovers, a tendency for homosexual inclinations, yet ambitious, and the energy to accomplish a lot in work. The native whose moon is here can also be inclined to lavishness and luxurious surroundings. This moon placement can also cause problems with the eyes, and this energy may play out in the mother or the lover. Vivian Robson suggests in his book that this may be the central star in our solar system, the one that all stars, which are really all suns, will revolve around. The orb for Alcyone is right at 2 degrees. The next star is Mirfak. Mirfak is 2 degrees, 5 minutes of Gemini. The moon here is a gallant lover who is bold and noble in her intentions, yet sometimes a little underhanded in going about it. It can justify its actions, though, because its motives are so pure, like robbing the rich to feed the poor. If this Gemini moon is interested in you, you will know it. This moon can easily take risks and throw caution to the wind, and may at some point in their life also affect a large group of people. A fortunate placement. Interestingly, Barack Obama and Vladimir Putin both have their moons influenced by this star, with Obama's moon being at 3 degrees and 21 minutes, and Putin's being closer at 2 degrees and 55 minutes. The orb is just over 2 degrees. Next is Hyades I at 5 degrees and 45 minutes of Gemini. Part of the Hyades, which are said to be half-sister stars of the Pleiades. This group of 5 stars is spread out to include Alcyone and Aldebaran. The first 3 bring melancholy, grief, and depression when the moon is nearby. Compulsive and profound lying is also brought about by this moon placement. The moon here can be a victim of violence or imprisonment, or have their lover or mother be a victim of these things. Anywhere from about 4.5 degrees of Gemini to 8 degrees of Gemini is the orb of influence for Hyades I. Next is Alcyone. Alcyone is part of the Hyades as well, but is a little piece of sunshine amidst their gloom and doom. The moon here is a lover and appreciates art and music especially. Beauty feeds its soul and gives peace to its emotions. Lying is still prevalent with this star influence, and forging documents could be a very real thing. About 1.5 degrees of influence. Next is Aldebaran. Aldebaran is a royal star. When the moon is in line, the native feels arrogant, self-righteous, compelled to stir up trouble, is always in a state of stress or anxiety, normally through their own making, yet has a tendency to be financially affluent. Starting arguments is their favorite pastime, and silence is completely unimportant to them. Wealth comes through women, possibly their mother or lover as well. This person is a warrior, not a lover. This, as with all the other moon conjunct star positions, can be altered with contacts from other planets, but be prepared for stress and agitation with the moon placed here. The brightest star of the Hyades, about a 2.5 degree orb. Next in line is Cursa. Cursa is at 15 degrees, 17 minutes of Gemini. A positive long-term outlook comes with this star conjunct the moon. The glass is definitely half full when they look towards the long game. Whether life is kind or not, they shrug and say it could always be worse, and look back towards the future with hope. A lack of detail and intuition is implied here, and planning is not this moon's strong point. Orb is about 2 degrees. Alyssa Milano has her moon 23 minutes away. Next is Rigel. Rigel is at 16 degrees, 50 minutes of Gemini. This is an ambitious and successful moon placement. A great spirit with a good sense of humor, courageous leader who typically succeeds in spite of all the various obstacles that this placement has. For a man, he is attracted to the dynamic of a power couple and is not interested in having a kept woman. The mother is also a force to be reckoned with and would typically get her way. Something to watch out for if you don't want mother-in-law struggles. Orb of just over 2.5 degrees, a very powerful star. Next on the list is Bellatrix. Bellatrix is at 21 degrees, 28 minutes of Gemini. 2 different sources say that it indicates not that it indicates a female warrior, but a female warrior who is loquacious. Both resources use the word loquacious. Now, if you're like me, that word is not in your everyday vocabulary. I had to look it up. It means that if your moon is here, you are a talker. It means a constant, exuberant, loud talker. And with the moon here, you are an extrovert who constantly shares your feelings. And when you are mad, the world knows it. The ability to make quick decisions is gifted to the moon in line with Bellatrix. So is strategizing and organizing. When this woman wants something, she gets it. And this moon is more likely to play out in a man's life through his mother and lovers, since female energy is a specific part of this star. And when the moon is in line with it, it's mainly talking about females. Orb of just over 2 degrees. Jennifer Garner's moon is 13 minutes away. Capella is at 21 degrees, 51 minutes of Gemini. This is another star with female energy, and its strength is intelligence and curiosity. A know-it-all who wants to know even more. Easily accepted by those in positions of power and influence, which brings about an air of confidence, which most people find annoying. This moon placement has a way of annoying people through their constant questions or by telling people everything they know. Once again, more likely to play out in a man's mother or lover. Orb of just over 2.5 degrees. The next few stars are Phact at 22 degrees, 16 of Gemini. It has a 2-degree orb. Next is Mintaka at 22 degrees, 24 minutes of Gemini, just over a 2-degree orb. Nath is at 22 degrees, 26 minutes of Gemini, just over a 2-degree orb. And lastly, Ensis is at 22 degrees, 59 minutes, and has about a 1.5-degree orb. I wanted to talk about these 4 stars together because they are all in the same degree, and if one influences the moon, they all do. These 4 are a little bit of a mixed bag. Phact is the most fortunate, with Mintaka and Nath also being fortunate in a different way, and then Ensis just mucks it up a bit. Ensis is the weakest of the stars, though, so its influence here isn't nearly as strong as the others. Phact brings in a kind, intuitive, and intellectual vibe to a moon in this degree, while Mintaka and Nath bring an enterprising and dominating spirit that is stubborn but has luck in business. And then Ensis brings in the anger and strife. So it's a bit of a beautiful mixture. You get a bit of a keen, shrewd intellect that is stubborn enough to succeed and can speak and think in soft ways when needed and throw a righteous fit when people aren't doing what they want. The moon here brings about business success with a little bit of loving, yet has ungracious moments. The most fortunate energy is at the beginning of the 22-degree mark and the more ruthless towards the end. Any moon in 22 degrees of Gemini would feel all of this. 2-degree orb either way. Next is Al-Nilam. Al-Nilam is at 23 degrees, 49 minutes of Gemini. Here the moon needs and craves attention. To be seen and paid attention to are super important, and their mouth can get loud sometimes in order to get that attention. Their temper can also flare to the point of actual physical violence towards others. However, they do succeed at their goals and have success, even though a lot of times it is fleeting. Considered a fortunate star with an orb of almost 2.5 degrees. Next in line is Hecka. Hecka is at 24 degrees, 42 minutes of Gemini. This is a masculine star and can arouse violence, vengeance, verbal aggression, and the moon person has an underlying, bubbling, rolling swirl of anger that is constantly under the surface. If a woman's moon is located here, she can attract violent, possibly abusive men. This star is located on the tip of the Taurus bullhorn and also gives a slight spiritual flavor to it, allowing the person with the moon here to believe that the suffering they experience here on Earth will be rewarded on the other side. Over a 2-degree orb of influence. Next is Polaris at 28 degrees, 34 minutes of Gemini, and Betelgeuse, 28 degrees, 45 minutes of Gemini. So Polaris and Betelgeuse go hand in hand as well. They are only 16 minutes apart. This is a good balance of energies, although both stars are considered unfortunate. This combination to the moon brings a deep thinker who is a sober thinker and planner and can look into the future with clear thinking and insight. The moon here is a little bit psychic and has a mild depression that can never seem to be shaken off. Intelligent, cunning, and stumbles with relationships with females. A man whose moon is here is not going to ever feel a deep warmth from his mother or lover, but he will have a huge, ambitious nature to succeed and accomplish, and probably will. A workaholic for sure that does not prioritize women. This could also be the female boss that hates women, or women with such high standards that others find them off-putting. Always willing to give directions, and how this moon is aspected will tell you if those directions are worth listening to. A little over a 2.5-degree orb. Chad Michael Murray's moon is in between these two stars at 28 degrees and 40 minutes. The last star in Gemini is Menkalinan. I probably didn't say that right either. Menkalinan is at 29 degrees, 55 minutes of Gemini. A lot of positive contacts are needed here to turn the moon into a positive. This moon is impulsive, frequently overindulgent, combative, and a lot like a loose cannon. Someone who can't help themselves and are constantly veering off course just for the chance of a good time. Stubborn, and they think they know better than others. A difficult placement for sure. Just over a 2-degree orb. I do have to say that I was surprised at the number of celebrities with their moon at the 29th degree of Gemini. I'm going to throw a party and definitely invite these 6. They include Pierce Brosnan, Christy Turlington, John Cena, David Schwimmer, Mike Pence, and last but not least, Shirley Temple. So celebrities with their moon in Gemini are Barack Obama at 3 degrees and 21 minutes, Vladimir Putin at 2 degrees and 55 minutes, Jennifer Lawrence at 21 degrees and 11 minutes, Jim Carrey at 17 degrees, 12 minutes, Jennifer Garner's moon is 21 degrees, 15 minutes, Alyssa Milano at 14 degrees, 54 minutes, Chad Michael Murray, 28 degrees, 40 minutes, Pierce Brosnan is at 29 degrees, 54 minutes, Christy Turlington, 29 degrees, 20 minutes, John Cena, 29 degrees, 16 minutes, David Schwimmer, 29 degrees, 37 minutes, Mike Pence, 29 degrees, 38 minutes, Jewel, 29 degrees, 56 minutes, and Shirley Temple, 29 degrees, 16 minutes. So thank you for hanging out with me today. That's the rundown of the Gemini moon and all the stars that are in it and can possibly influence the moon. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I hope you learned a lot and enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and I will definitely see you later. Thanks.